Hey everybody, this is Dave from Tech Experts. Today I want to talk to you about why it's important to use a password manager and why it's important to pick a strong password manager for that password manager to use. What do I mean by this and what am I talking about? Well, password manager, let's start with that. It's the idea that all the passwords you have can be managed in one single location, and this isn't meaning you're writing them down all in a little notebook. That's right. No more little notebooks we're talking about, no more notes on the screen, no more pieces of paper with everything written down, and no more Excel spreadsheet with everything on it. What I'm talking about is using a tool they call a password manager. It's a tool that stores all your accounts, so all your usernames and your login passwords that go with them. And it keeps them all in a single tool that can be either local or online or a combination of the two, and it encrypts and keeps them all safe. So that's part of it. All the passwords and user accounts you're storing in there become encrypted. Basically means it's making it secure so that you can only be the only person really accessing it. You will need what they call a master password to access this whole entire list. And that's the thing. You just need to learn to remember one master password and no more all the other ones. So by doing this, it makes it really easy to manage all your passwords. You don't have to remember every password anymore. You only need to learn is the master password. And the master password is a little bit different from your normal password, and it's way more of a passphrase. So something special and unique to you. It's going to be something you're going to make that's creative. I even create a whole sort of formula on how to do it. But the idea is you would have more than one thing you're linking together to describe your master password or your master password phrase. So I might use a place and a food and a color, a number, um, something that's going to represent a special character. So something fun that you're using to do that, and maybe another set of words to go with it. So I like to do like a favorite food or drink to start with. I'll do a place that's unique or special to me or related to that. I'll do another thing or a vehicle or an object or something that's special about this. I'll do a number to describe it. And then I'll add a special unique character. And then I'll add maybe one more special thing again at the end. I'm going to link this all together into one sort of passphrase so it doesn't have to be all perfect letters. I'm going to use upper and lowercase randomly or wherever I feel that is appropriate. And I'm going to also put spaces in. So, yep, spaces count as your special characters. They count in your character count, but it makes it easy because basically you can type words for each set of those things you're doing along the way. And then you come up with something creative, unique, and strong like that because it won't really be guessable because you're not going to be using your kids' names, any birth dates, any telephone numbers, or any addresses you have or places you've lived. So kind of eliminate those items out. I mean, you can pick a city or a state you lived in, but you're not going to pick your street address of where you grew up on. We want to eliminate the things that are super common, super easy for someone to guess, or something that a hacker could access by like gathering information about us online. Maybe they look up your history through your Facebook to see what city you were born in, and then they start digging into records to see maybe where you grew up based on the high school you went to or anything else that they can use to gather information on you that they want to be able to use with hacking. Now, this seems like someone's going to do a lot of work, but that's not really true. What they'll do is they'll buy all the data off of the black market, basically the dark web, they'll call it. That's some place where you heard like breaches were being resold. So when a breach occurs, it basically means the company that had all your login information and any other information about you, all that information was basically stolen and posted up on a site where they're selling the block of information. So that could conceivably include things like your birth date, your telephone number, your home address, where you grew up on, what you maybe answered secret questions with, possibly if it was badly managed, usernames or passwords, email addresses you had in the past or currently using. So all these things we want to secure as much as possible. It's important, and that's the point of using a strong password manager. And the word strong keeps coming up for me when I use this. And what do I mean by that? Well, it means a password manager that is doing a good job of managing all the things that they're storing for you and keeping them all safe, not just your username and your password. You want to make sure that whoever you're using now is doing the work to do things like encrypting the name of the website or the address of the website that you're logging into, and not just your username and password for that site. Because if everyone gets a whole list of all the sites you logged into, they know where to target you much more narrowly than just be like, they could be anywhere. If they know exactly which bank accounts you're using, which credit card companies you have credit cards with, what all your social media sites are, and they have a list of email addresses that they can use as a starting point for trying to attack those sites, as assuming that would be your username, then they have a much higher chance of being able to get in. So you want a password manager that's going to make sure they're affecting all those things. So every username and password you have is tied to a site generally. That site needs to be encrypted as well as part of the encryption of all your data. And then does it include other data that you may be storing with them? Like, are they encrypting, making sure your address that you've stored in there is encrypted? Your telephone number, you're encrypted. Your billing information is being encrypted in some kind of way with them, and that they won't be able to just hack in. And even if they couldn't get into your data, they could gather all your billing information. You don't want that. So we're looking for password managers to do a good job for all these things. And then the password manager, like I said, is going to let you load in all your usernames and your passwords and store them in there. Now, the beautiful thing with the password manager, if you're doing like a single user plan, it's just you. But everyone has family or friends that they need to be able to work with. So family plans are really a better deal, in my opinion, always when you're looking at password managers, because there's probably somebody else in your household or in your family that you're going to want to share passwords with, or you do share passwords with. That could be like you guys divide up who has which parts of the internet. Which parts of the uh, social streaming media solutions you're using, right? So you may be like, hey, in our house, we pay for um, HBO Max, right? And we have Amazon Prime's solution. But my mother or my roommate may be like, hey, I'm going to cover CBS and NBC, or they have Netflix and we have, uh, I don't know, ESPN, right? So you may be sharing those resources because it's inside the same house, and you're going, hey, we're just using one TV to log in to everything through like a Roku, like we would do. And then you go, okay, so who has this account and who has that account? And oh, that one came free from your phone service. So we'll use your free one there. I'm paying for this one, and I have this resource here. I have my Amazon, and I did AT&T, so I got my HBO. You got us the free Hulu through the phone service. You got us Apple TV through your service. And we have these different ones. We're going to group them all together. So we want to be able to share those passwords so that one person, if they're going to step out of the house and needs to relog back into one of those accounts, is able to do that, because everybody is able to share the passwords and the usernames for those accounts. That's where the password sharing and the family plans really sing. The fact that you can create basically what they'll call a vault, or it's like a folders section or a group of folders together that you're basically able to share, or basically say everybody in the house can have access to this. So if you're sharing resources in some sort of way, it's easy for you to share those username and passwords. And then you have ones that are separate for you. Your email account is staying separate from their email account, but the shared resources can be equally shared easily. And that's why I like the family plans. The sharing and the family plans are super easy, and your price per user generally goes down and gives you a better deal for them. Now, if you're working in the business side of it, I still think the same principles are going to apply. Strong password manager, encrypting all your stuff, able to share with some people in another way, either it being you have other team members and you're sharing vaults through the teams, or you have something like 1Password when you have the business plan lets you have up to 20 guests on a business plan account. That means if we have a virtual assistant, I can share out the guest account to the virtual assistant so they don't have to sign up for another password manager on top of the other ones they have for their other clients. Instead, they can use the one I want them to use, and then I can share my password through the password manager to them. And then when they're done, I can basically cancel their guest account and pull it back. And having a corporate account gives me a free family plan for the use with the rest of my family. So I can keep my family information separate from my business information. And I recommend you all are doing that. Now, the other thing I'm looking for in a strong password manager is some other little features I think really make a big difference. Does it have what they'll call dark web monitoring, or some sort of tool where we can see how strong or how good a quality my passwords are? As I have more and more passwords, I had a tendency to reuse the same sort of password or a variation of it over and over again for more and more accounts before I really got into this. The reason for that was I was just being normal. Hey, I'm using a password manager. It's better now. I don't have to worry about the fact that I'm reusing the same password more or less because it's all in the password manager, right? No, you need to have unique passwords for every password manager. So that's the dark web monitoring and the monitoring of your account part. Can you see, has that account ever, any of those usernames or passwords, been on a site that was breached? And if it has, which one is that? What account is it tied to? What's your username and password for that? I need to go to that one right away and change it. Then I want to look to see, did I ever reuse that same username and password on another site, or a similar version of that same username and password on another site? That's what I was talking about, why it's important that you're changing the passwords, not just saying, well, I put in a password manager, I don't need to change them and have them unique. You really do. So if the breach happened on one, once that breach happens, the hackers will basically take that and use that as the first example for your accounts to use it to attack. And they're going to try to reuse that same username and password across a whole slew of sites. And they're going to basically put it into a little program that'll run for them. So it'll run really fast, try a whole bunch of them. And if it fails on everyone, then it will try a different variation on it, either another username, another email address that saw as a username, or it'll try another password that may have gathered from the breach if there was more than one breach it bought from. So the more you can keep them different, the better. Now, the username may not differ a lot because having a ton of emails isn't always really realistically great, but you can change that password and you can generate a strong password that's unique for every single site using a password generator. Now, that's something your password manager, if it's strong, should include. It should include a good password generator, not just one that makes password, but gives you control over the password you're generating. Basically means you can define, do you want to use upper and lowercase characters? Do you want to use numbers? Do you want to use special characters? Do you want it to be something that's easy to read, easy to say, or doesn't it not need to be easy? Is it never reused? And is it totally random? And then how long an average would the password be? Or how long a password do you want it to be? So you could say, I want to set it to 12 characters. That's probably the minimum, I would say. If you can set up to 16 characters or more, you're definitely going to be more secure. The longer it is, the more complex it becomes and the harder it is to guess. And since you don't have to remember any of these passwords, the crazier randomness it generates with wild special characters, letters, and number combinations, the better for me. So if I want to hit 16 or 24 characters and the site will accept that, I may very well default myself to doing that, saying at least 16. And at times I may be like, oh, I don't really trust the site. I'm going to bump it up now to 24 and put in a really nice hard password. I don't have to remember the password anymore because the password manager is doing the work for me. Only the password I'm remembering ever again is my master passwords. That's the beauty of this. Where you can go through every single one and generate a new password for every site, make them all unique and strong and different. And that way you don't have to worry if it's been breached. If it has been breached, like I said, go and generate a new password and then do the other part that I want to see in a good, strong password manager. That's enabling or having two-factor authentication enabled or available to you in some form. Now, most sites will let you do two-factor authentication, or they may call it multi-factor authentication. So you'll see it as 2FA or MFA, and this is going to be critical. Basically, that basically means you're adding a second layer or a second method to confirm your identity when you log in. So your first method is your username and password. That's method number one. Method number two is that code you either get sent to your phone, sent to your email, or better yet, you're using something to generate that code. It could be a software app, or even better, something like a YubiKey. And a YubiKey looks just like this. This is my YubiKey. This is a USB A connection on it. So this is a YubiKey 5 NFC, and basically means it has NFC, so I can tap it on my phone like you would at checkout and generate my code through my phone on that, or any other device that has the NFC, or I can plug it in through a USB-A port. Now, if it doesn't have a USB-A port, I could always put an adapter on to make it go from USB-A to USB-C if you want to do that as well. They also come in different varieties where you can get USB-C versions, and they also have a USB-C and Lightning version combo in there as well. And I love that one. So if you haven't checked out that, if you're an Apple user, that one's a great choice to go with. But you want to incorporate all these things together. So some password managers will even allow you to generate your code for your MFA or 2FA inside the password manager and tie it right to your account. That's super cool, especially if you're working with people outside your region. Basically, mean like if you have VAs or coworkers or people you're working with that are in another country or another part of the world, and you want to share that account out to them so they can get in and work with you, having the 2FA on as that extra layer of protection, but then able to incorporate the 2FA within the password manager so you can just share the whole thing as one item to that person is even better. So I have two I'm going to recommend today for you to start looking at as strong, great password managers. Now, they're both paid password managers. I think it's worth paying for a password manager because the extra features you're getting, and just because it's worth, like, you're investing in them and they're going to make sure they do the work because you're investing in them to take care of your stuff. So the first one is called 1Password. That's the one we've switched to recently. I used to have LastPass, and I have switched since the breaches to 1Password. And I recommend anyone with LastPass, it's a perfect time to switch to 1Password. They'll even have a promotion to help you switch and basically buy out the rest of your time on your deal. The other one is called Keeper, and it's Keeper Security. They have a great setup if you're doing an enterprise or if you're doing any sort of corporate or business level one. I really like them. I like all the reporting in there as well. And they had a great team that were super helpful in helping you set up. Like I said, they both have paid plans, and they both have a trial to get onto the paid plan, which makes it really nice. So 1Password is going to give you a 14-day trial to get on, and Keeper will give you a 30-day trial before you pay and get on. The pricing on them are both will run pretty good. They're going to be like, I'd say about $4 per user on like a family plan. And if you're on the business side, Keeper is going to be less expensive for the base package, but you'll want some of those add-ons, so it'll add up. And on the 1Password side, that's really my recommendation if you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, or someone just getting going and you need some help with it. Their plan for one business user is going to be $8 a month. But remember, at $8 a month, you're also getting 20 guest user accounts, and you get a free family plan as well. So that $8 a month really then doesn't feel like that bad of a deal. And if you have more than two, you can look at doing the team plan. You could probably save a few bucks if you switch to the team plan at 3 or more, but you'll lose the number of guest accounts from 20 down to 5. So keep that in mind. I think it's almost worth paying the extra couple bucks for the full team plan, from going from the team plan to the full business plan, because that business plan, like I said, gives you 20 guest accounts, and every member you have gets their own family plan for each team, each person in the business you have with them. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm excited to see you all here. I'm just getting on and sharing about why it's so critical to use a password manager now. And if you haven't done this yet, please do so. If you need some help, I have a link where you can schedule book a call with me down below in the description. I also have links to both of those options down below. I think they're amazing options. Like I said, I used to have LastPass. I'm a big fan. I loved LastPass. I even created a whole course on it. So if you want to know about that, I can help you with that. But I don't feel comfortable in how LastPass really handled the breaches. They were breached last year, kind of in a dual phase breach. And as it came out, it got worse and worse how badly the breach really was and what we should do to make sure if you were breached that you are fully secure moving forward, because the vaults were stolen. Even though they can't get into the vault was still stolen. So at some time, a vault could be compromised if the technology catches up where the hacker could figure out a way to get through the vault security system. And because it got to that level, and really like you're looking at saying, okay, now I need to reset every password in my vault. And they know basically every site I have because the sites weren't encrypted, only the username and password was encrypted for it and other data in the vault. I'm not feeling as much love as I used to for LastPass, so I think it's time to switch. And that's why I think it's perfect time to jump to 1Password. I think that's the great deal right now, the fact that they're paying to basically buy out the rest of your term on LastPass and move you over. I think it was worth doing. And they're going to encrypt everything. And they're also going to offer you that 2FA or MFA built into your password. So when you share a password, you can share that authentication tool right in it where it will generate the code for them. They won't really know the code. It'll just generate it on the fly. And the user that you're sharing it to doesn't have to even see the code. So for all that, I think it's worthwhile. Now, I hope this video is helpful. If anyone has any questions about why it's important to use a strong password manager now, please leave in the comments section down below. I'll be happy to get back to you. But I think it's so critical as we are in a time and era when the technology is moving so fast, as we're seeing AI change everything. And as we see this move forward more and more, it's going to be more critical than ever to make sure we're securing all of our accounts. So if you're just starting out and getting going with it, the biggest ones to do are social media, email, and financial. They all should be running your 2FA or MFA on them, and they should all have random passwords for every one of those. And if you haven't done that, even if you have them in your password manager, it's a perfect time to go back through, use your password generator. Like I said, set to something strong. 12 characters is the minimum for me for starting to get strong. Look at 16 to 24 and do the full randomization of all the kinds and do something crazy that you can't ever have to remember. And don't worry about it because your password manager is taking care of it for you. Good strong password for the password manager, or passphrase, master password, and you're good to go. And you can always turn on 2FA on top of that password manager, strong password, and your account will be even more secure. All right. Hope you find this helpful. Let me know in the comments section below. Give me the big thumbs up, share it with your friends and family. Make sure everyone hits the replay on this. Thank you, Glenn and Claudia, for joining me today. I will see you all again next week. We go live again next Thursday. Have a great day. Talk to you next time.